Kelley Ford on your radio, segment number 2. Go to kfordratings.com. Kelley, good stuff on basketball has continued on. It looks like, Pac-12 projections, and, we forget this, or at least I do. We saw the last of the Pac-12 in football. Now it's the last of the Pac-12 in basketball. We'll move down that line as we continue through the sports season here, the sports calendar. Arizona, number 1, the class of the class, so to speak, 67% chance to win the entire tournament this week. Colorado, just 11%. Washington State, Oregon, Utah, and then, of course, you get down into the rest of the field. This is, it looks like, at least, today, it's Arizona and everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely, Jake. And Arizona, to me, is a top 5 power-rated team. They have been for much of the year. Tested themselves in the non-conference, played some really good teams, and have been the best team in the Pac-12 this year, really throughout. So, yes, Arizona is the class, 67% chance to win, like you said. I'm kind of personally pulling for Washington State a little bit. They are the number 2 seed. My numbers do like Colorado a little bit more than Washington State, but just because of what's going on with Washington State and Oregon State and what's happening to them in the landscape of college athletics as a whole, football and all sports, I would certainly like to see them have some success here in the final year of the Pac-12 as we know it.
I know you still got to work through the Big Ten and the SEC. Just at face value, the SEC. I mean, you look at the number, the seeds that have the buys, so to speak, and it won't be until Thursday before they play. Obviously, you're talking about the Tennessees, the Kentuckys, the Alabamas, and the Auburns. Is this as wide open of a field for the SEC as we've seen in some time?
Yeah, this is, and you just hit on the top 4 teams that I have in the power ratings, Jake. And really, to me, there's kind of a top tier that has 3 teams. It's Tennessee, Auburn, and Alabama. Between those 3, I would honestly be pretty surprised if one of them did not win the SEC. So, yes, it is wide open in the sense that you don't have a dominant team, but I do think those 3 teams that I just mentioned are the 3 that have really separated themselves, with Kentucky, being in that next group. I'd put Florida in that next group from a power rating standpoint, even Mississippi State. And I know right now they're in the last 4 buys, so Bulldog fans aren't feeling assured that Selection Sunday is going to go well. I think they've probably done enough to get in as things stand. But to me, there's really a group of 3 at the top. But after that, yes, there are certainly some capable teams who can win it all this week here in the SEC.
Let me ask you this. Last 4 in, and again, this is all speculation. You look at ESPN.com and some of the others, Colorado, Virginia, St. John's, Indiana State, first 4 out, the Texas A&M's, New Mexico, the world. I mean, how close is it? I mean, are we? And you look last 4 buys. Mississippi State is in that. TCU, Seton Hall, Michigan State. It's a cluster of teams. I guess as always, that's looking to get in the 68 team field that will be left out.
Yeah, it's always a cluster. The bubble, Jake, is always crazy, and we always on Selection Sunday see teams who maybe we didn't expect were going to be there. Last year, we actually didn't have any bid fees throughout Conference Championship Week. We'll see if that trend continues this year. That's certainly uncommon, but the bubble is known to shrink at the end of the season due to those bid fees. We'll see how it all plays out.
What's interesting about this, and we'll see this with college football. We'll have our own version of a college football bubble, right? I mean, it won't be near as many teams, but you're looking at 2, 3, 4. I don't know that anybody anticipates those teams on that football bubble making a run in the college football playoff. A lot of the media will hype it that way, but basketball, it is real. I mean, we could see a team that just got in make a run to the Elite 8. Or just got in, make a run, to the Sweet 16, maybe even to the Final Four. It's interesting how basketball, how that is so much truer in basketball is what we will likely see in football, if that makes sense.
I completely agree, Jake. Yes, you are 100% correct. And I think it was even the first year of the first 4. Back in 2011, VCU went from first 4 to Final 4. Mm-hmm. And in basketball, that is something that we can come to expect. Of course, it's not normal. It doesn't happen, every year or every couple of years, but it is possible because the nature of the sport of basketball and the variance that we see game to game in basketball versus the variance that we see in football, and also just the strength of teams. When you look at the strength of teams from 1 to the last team in what's going to be the expanded college football playoff, versus the strength of teams from number 1 to the final at-large bid, because remember, that's what the first 4 is for those final at-larges. Of course, there's a couple 16 games in there as well, but the bubble is for at-larges. That difference in talent in basketball is significantly smaller than the difference in football. That's why you see these basketball teams who are seeded at the 10, 11 line be able to make runs deep into the tournament. Again, they're not winning it all either, though, but they are more likely to make a deep run than I think the number 10, 11, 12 seed will be in a 12-team CFP. Certainly time will tell, but that to me is why we see it in basketball and not football.